everyone, my name is Leah. I like to sew and watch anime, so I mainly sew cosplays for myself, for my boyfriend, or just dresses for myself. But today I'm going to show you guys how I made these corsets for my boyfriend and his twin brother for their birthday. Also, this is not a tutorial and you will see why as you watch the video. So normally I like to start with ironing my fabric just because trying to trace on crinkled fabric kind of sucks. And yes, this did hurt my knees just as much as you think it would in this position. And here I'm going to show you guys the pattern that I made that I'm going to trace all of these pieces with. This took absolutely forever. I'd be obvious to some of you, but chalk. It's a lot easier to hold. I have all the pieces cut out, all 12. It only took like an hour to cut and trace them all. 9 o'clock at night now, and I have to wake up early, so I'm gonna start getting ready for bed. I'm hoping to get this project done this week, so let me do it. Knock on wood. And if I can't, just finish it off next week. Just cutting in to say I was absolutely delusional, thinking that I could get that done that week. This took way longer than I expected. I'm using this like heat and bond stabilizer. I got 3 packs and I hope it's enough. And I don't really know much about stabilizers, but I do know I think I used this to make a witch hat one time. And I had to layer like 3 of them on top of each other. But I think just 1 layer would be good for the rest. For those of you who don't know, stabilizer is used kind of like on top of or between fabrics to make it a firmer type of feel and to kind of give it structure. So when I was talking about using it in a hat, I used it on like the rim of the hat to make sure it stood up right. Another thing that takes forever is pinning all of the pieces together, especially because for me this was a lot of pieces in a project. But it is very essential that you do this to make sure that everything lines up properly and that you don't cause more problems for yourself when you sew later. Half more pin. Well, it's like half still. Finally, we get to the actual sewing part. And I probably should have been wearing some sort of eye protection here, especially with all the pins you can see. I wasn't sewing over them, but it's still kind of a hazard. But I couldn't find my glasses that I use, so we just had to deal. Here is that stabilizer I was telling you about. You can kind of see how it made the fabric a little more firm and structured. The kind I have is iron-on, but I think there are some that you don't iron on and you kind of just sew on or sandwich in between with your sewing kind of. And we can't forget the very important step of ironing the seams down. It really makes all the difference and just makes it look a lot more put together, I guess. Here I am sewing the outside to the lining, and at this point I was getting pretty worried because I could feel how thick everything was getting and I wasn't sure if my machine or my needles could handle it. Thankfully, my machine pulled through, so I got to get to the point where I cut all these little slits into the seam allowance. These just kind of help me when I turn it inside out. It makes the curves a lot smoother. And you'll also see me cut off the corners, and it helps the corners come out sharper when you turn everything inside out. And you'll see what I mean in a bit. See how the corners came out more sharp. Also, my needles could not handle it, so here's the first broken one of many. Now here I had to make sure everything was lining up right after all of that work. and kind of just test it out on my own shoulder and everything. I was also a little worried about the fit at this point, but it was too late to turn back, so had to run with it. After that impromptu fitting, I decided that I could not spare the room for the seam allowance at the shoulder, so I had to get ready to ladder stitch and sew all of the shoulder by hand, and this was going to have to be done for both of them. So I had to hand stitch all 4 of the shoulders, which doesn't sound too bad, but with the thickness, it was kind of rough. Now, my favorite part of the ladder stitch is doing that pull and seeing everything come together. So I wanted to show you guys my favorite part so you can find satisfaction in it like me. Here's another impromptu fitting. I still wasn't sure about it, but at least I had room for error since it was like a corset, so the sizing was gonna be okay probably. This is where things start to take a downward spiral with broken needle number 2 and broken needle number 3. At this point, I was spiraling into a breakdown, and I was not having it. This breakdown felt worse than it looks in this video. Here's broken needle number 4, and at this point, I just knew my needles couldn't handle the thickness of everything, but I had no other choice, and I had to keep pushing through. The audio absolutely sucked here because of my fan. Basically, I'm telling you that the bias tape did not go well. It's hard to get it to go around that hard curve on like the armpit part, and the back part of the bias tape didn't even sew down when I did it because it missed. So I was going to try and hand sew it. So, turns out that the reason I had so much trouble doing these sleeves, which I just did, is because I've been doing them wrong the entire time. Now I'm sure I haven't been doing bias tape wrong like from the beginning. I feel like when I first learned how to do it, I did it right. And somewhere along the way, I made this little mistake that kind of messed everything up. So I'm going to show you what I did. So, this is how I was doing bias tape this whole time until this last trial. So I have this little piece right here, and it's the double fold bias tape, right? So I started off right. I lined it up with the edge like this, right? I lined it up with the edge, nice. But then, for some reason, I sewed along the edge up here instead of right next to the crease, which seems like it shouldn't matter that much, but it did. It really messed up everything, and then it made it look bad and all that. So yeah, turns out that I wasted hours doing bias tape wrong, and then re-ripping it out, and then trying to sew it by hand, and then finally getting it right. So hopefully the process will go a lot smoother now. Okay, so I finished my terms today and I have a little break, so I'm hoping that I can get this project done between today and tomorrow. I think I've been working on it since September, a little bit after Labor Day, so it's been a while. But yeah, I also got these. I got more needles because all of mine broke, and these say they are titanium and they were more expensive. It says they last 2 times longer, so I hope they mean it. I like that they're like gold. I don't know if you can tell. They're like gold though. So yeah, check in a little bit. My needles were once again defeated by the sandwich of fabric that I had created, but I was not going to let that stop me, and I was going to finish this project. Here is yet another broken needle. This one completely broke, And here's another one that I call broken, but it was more so just bent enough to not be really usable anymore. Look, I have heavy duty needles. I have them. But every time I use them, they mess something up. Like the thread goes all wonky. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I put it on just like any of my other needles. And I thread it the same way. I do the exact same thing. Anyway, so that's why I keep using the regular needles that keep breaking. It's fine. I have nothing to say other than I'm glad I haven't lost an eye to one of these needles. Okay, so I did all of the bias taping. So from here on, I might redo some of them because I don't like the way some of them turned out. We'll see. But that's been for the hand sewing. So I can hand sew a little like clips in the front. So I can hand sew those on. And I'm kind of scared because of all of the I think it'll be okay. And then I have some embroidery details that I want to do on the front right here. Really small so we don't take too long. Here I am marking where all the hook and eyes are going to go before starting the long process of hand sewing all of them in. Hand sewing is somewhat relaxing, but it just gets boring after a while and I get tired of it. Now I had to mark the general shape and area of the embroidery, and I hand embroidered it because I don't have a machine. Now is finally time for one of my favorite parts, the grommets. And I like to sort mine out first so that it just makes everything go faster when you're actually hammering them in. And I'll let you guys enjoy the sound of me hammering in the grommets now. And here is the final product. I left out the part of me just sewing on the chains because I just sewed them by hand. But yeah, here it is. I'm pretty happy with it, and my boyfriend and his brother really like them. Thank you guys for watching. It was a struggle of a journey for this project, but hopefully I'll have other projects where I don't have a breakdown and I can show you guys the fun experience of sewing. But thanks for watching anyways, and bye! Also, my next video is going to be making a cloak from over the garden wall, and I'm going to make lots more cool videos, so if you don't subscribe, you're going to be missing out. Okay, that's all. Bye!